Hello, everyone. Welcome to Art Jam. Welcome to the Gnomon channel, whatever you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. Hello. My name is Josh Herman. I'm the CCO of Gnomon, and today we're going to be hanging out, making some stuff on Art Jam. I'm excited today because we have a awesome special guest again. Crystal Bretz is joining us for the jam, as well as Alex, and we're going to be sculpting, or Crystal and I will be sculpting some stylized heads, which is something I haven't done in a very long time. So I'm looking forward to trying that. Let's get everybody else here on the stream. Alex, hello, and Crystal, hello.
Hey.
How are you two doing today?
Hey.
Doing good.
How are you?
Good. Ready to sculpt some stuff. I was saying right before the stream that this is probably one of the streams that I'm the most nervous for just because of the subject matter. I'm not terribly good at this one, so I'm kind of excited to try it. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we have Crystal. I guess, I can point this way. Crystal, you're on the stream today. Hello. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's do a little intro. Where you're from, where you're working, and some of the cool stuff you've done.
Yeah, so right now I'm in Montreal. So I'm working as a senior modeler at Digital Domain. But before this, I was kind of a generalist. So I've done a lot of stuff. I've kind of worked as like a groom artist. I've done look dev. I've done textures. And before that, I was a generalist for like 2 years at a TV studio. And we did everything from skin simulation to basic rigs and stuff like that. So I kind of just have that kind of background. Just I like to dabble in everything. And then slowly focused on creatures, characters, and all that stuff. So this
Very
is
cool.
more like, yeah,
Awesome.
and I prefer to do like realistic and stylized. I kind of just like, it all. We're just
A little bit of
doing it
everything.
for the art.
Yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, we were chatting earlier. We're gonna do some stylized heads, and we had chatted pre-stream, a week or two ago, but what we were gonna work on, and we had the topic of hair came up, and I was like, oh no, like that is definitely not one of my fortes either. So we're gonna have to see how it goes today. But you had done a Gnomon workshop title somewhat recently on a stylized character. Did you want to show your portfolio and maybe we could see some of the stuff that you've worked on?
Sure, yeah. So here is my art station. So here's some stuff I've been working on, personal stuff. Here's the Gnomon workshop. Yeah, there's just lots in here. Crimes of Grindelwald, Black Panther.
That's cool. What did you do for Black Panther?
For Black Panther, it was just hard surface stuff. So this was actually one of the very first big blockbuster feature films I got to work on. So it was just helping out with like these hard surface models. When I jumped on the show, it was near the end, so there wasn't a whole lot to do. But
sure.
we got our hands dipped in the pie.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's some cool stuff in here too.
So a little bit, is that creature work?
This is creature work here.
Awesome.
This dude in here, you can see him. There we go. This guy.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool.
So and then also just me and a friend of mine, we worked on this whole ballroom, which was a really cool experience because they filmed this all in there was no ballroom at all. There was nothing here. So we had to make the entire environment. So
that's awesome.
PG entirely. Which was intense.
Yeah, I'm sure just make a whole ballroom, please.
Yeah, exactly, right?
That's cool. Right on. Awesome. Well, you had pulled up your reference for your sculpt that you're going to work on today.
Yes.
And then I am also going to pull up mine. I guess we'll get to our share screens here as well. Get these on the screen. Sorry, get these up. Let's see.
And I am not going to be doing a stylized sculpt in ZBrush. I don't think I've ever done a stylized character, so now is not the time to do it in front of people.
Well, there's a time and a
now
place
is the best time.
Yeah, there you go. That's a cool one.
I am excited because this one's a little bit mixed between stylized, but also kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But I also like the facial expression because I think it's hilarious. So. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing this one today.
Very cool. And I did a poll on my Instagram, and so I keep clicking the wrong button. Where is it? This one. So we're work on this one here. I think it's the one that I'm going to do down here in the bottom left. So I got that over on my other screen, so I'll be glancing off all the time. When you get started on a head, and when you're going to get started on what you're working on today, are you going to start from a sphere, or what do you think? What do you normally start from?
I'm going to start from a sphere.
Okay.
Sometimes I start with a base fish, but it all kind of depends on how quick I got to be. But I feel like sometimes it can kind of contaminate your forms if you're starting from something that's already there. But
all right, so you're going to go from a sphere. I guess I was going to cheat and use this female planes thing. I'll try the sphere. I'll go for it.
There's no cheating.
There's no cheating. If you get it done,
that's really what's important, right?
I mean, I feel like that's the biggest thing is like, how can you do an entire character in 3 hours? That's
Yeah. Well, we'll see how far we can get today. So you said you're from Montreal, or you're not from, but you're living in Montreal. Have you mostly worked or lived in Canada your whole life?
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
I haven't ventured out far. I've been to Europe last year, but I haven't lived there yet. So yeah, and in Canada this whole time.
That's
so
cool.
I wasn't aware that DD had an office in Montreal. Is that something that you're working remotely for DD LA, or they actually have a space up there?
They are. They just opened up a location like a year ago, I believe.
Okay.
So it's pretty new.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I think like basically I'm working with the Vancouver team for now. But that's just my project, I think. So, but I mean, that kind of happens from time to time anyways. Any studio you're at, you kind of just shift between working with your studio or other locations.
Right. Is that kind of how it works at DD, where you're just kind of bouncing back and forth between different locations and different projects, or are you kind of doing one project for the majority of the time, like with one crew or local crew?
Not usually. Like, I would say like it's probably just for now until their Montreal studio grows a bit more in the modeling assets department. But for now, yeah. I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're planning, but for now, I don't mind. It's pretty cool. I like to be able to work with the team over there too, because I know a lot of people from Vancouver from my time living over there. So.
All right, so I see you use Spotlight, it looks like, to kind of get your mesh in there as like your reference plane.
Yes.
And I'm going to switch this over to...
Like, block in a base head, pretty much.
Yeah, I was going to ask what you start with. Like, are you looking for just like getting that skull shape in, or like what's your kind of like starting point?
I am basically just trying to get something super basic right now. So like something, I mean, I don't even care if it looks like her. I just want them to look as generally like somewhat like a human. And then I'll probably just refine it later. Let's get sculptors up in here. There we go. Do you use Sculptress a lot?
I haven't really. So I'm curious to see how you use it.
It is, ever since it's come out, I've just been in it.
So like I guess like how do you use it? Do you basically just use it like Dynamesh where you don't have to Dynamesh again, or like what's like the best way to get started with it? I've used it in like small detailed parts of a sculpt, like, or if it's already has no subdivisions and I kind of want to just like add some detail in an area, I've used it, but I've never used it for like getting a block out.
I kind of use it the same way I would with Dynamesh. So you can Dynamesh it first, but like I just kind of start with the sphere and I'm just kind of building stuff up. And then if I decide that I'm just getting too detailed, I might just Dynamesh again.
Right.
But I don't know. I just like it because I can get like some good details before I decide to commit to a Z-remesh.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to ask you the question, I guess, but you already answered it. You do eventually Z-remesh your mesh, and you're using this as like a starting point.
Yes, exactly.
That's cool.
But I probably won't Z-remesh until like pretty close to where I have established most of my forms.
Mm-hmm.
I wait quite a while. I know some people don't, but I like to.
I've always kind of just been like a Dynamesh sculptor where I just like sculpt for a while and then would retopologize it. And now I'm trying to bring ZBrush more into my workflow. So it's kind of cool to see how other people end up using it. But I also don't use Spotlight a lot, so I'm trying to bring that into my workflow right now.
Yeah, Spotlight is super useful. And you can also, like, the way that I use it is I basically set it up here. And as soon as I have something that kind of looks remotely like a human, because, oh my God, this does not look like anything right now. But like a big fish face. But yeah, once I get something that's kind of close, I'll line up the perspective and I'm going to set like a custom setting so that I could just snap back to it whenever I want. And then I just try not to move my spotlight as much as I possibly can.
Right. Yeah, like accidentally moving it all the time. Do you know, people are asking who the name of your concept was or is from?
Oh, on Instagram, I actually don't know her full name, but on Instagram, she is Strange Myliena. I can't even pronounce that. Myliena.
All right.
I'll bring it up. I think that's
cool.
Easier.
And then I guess
she gets the credit because, yeah, amazing concepts.
Yeah, for sure. Cool stuff. I was digging through, I was looking for mine today and I was looking for that as well. Mine is also, I found on Instagram from, I think it's Miss Sean H, MSSHANH is where mine's from.
Strange Myliena. Emiliana. That's you.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of cool work on there.
Really interesting, like, style too. Like, I just like how, I don't know, it's all pretty cool, pretty dark, pretty creepy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I just saved it. Okay.
Get some eyeballs in here.
Oh, so you get eyeballs in like right away. I love watching how other sculptors work because I'm like, oh, that's not how I do it at all, but I see why you would do that.
I feel like the eyes is like the number one thing that establishes all the proportions.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I can't get them in first, we're just bad news bears. It's a disaster.
Gonna have to, it sounds like.
Yeah, I just end up like moving things around for hours until I have the eyes, because the pupils establish like where the lips are going to be. They establish the center of the head. So for me, it's kind of my thing.
Makes sense. People are asking if it looks like you use a tablet. Are you a tablet or a Cintiq person?
I am a tablet. I have never used a Cintiq, actually. I would like to try, but yeah, I've never tried to use like the screen. I feel like for me, this has always been fine because I don't like the idea of having my hand in the way.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe it would be okay.
Worth a shot to try it, yeah.
But yeah, it's just the medium-sized one, so not the little tiny one, but not the really big one, because I hate how much space that takes up.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I should lock mine or something.
I love the beginning of Sculpt.
The starting point is always awkward. I mean, my starting point right now is mostly me just trying to get this thing aligned and being like, I don't think that's the right shape. I don't think that's in the right place. So we'll get there eventually. It's fine.
Look how great.
Yeah, there we go.
I literally just I don't even want to line it up yet because I know that it's not going to line up until I get the mouth wide open and everything. So
yeah, you got to go from the whole beginning, right? Like the sphere. The sphere is a tough start because it's you have no forms to start from, so it's having to build up all the bone structure, and everything else that's going to make up the actual character. It's definitely tough. Let's see, fade.
All right, let's check this out.
And Alex, what are you working on? I see something burning.
Yeah, I've got my serpent dude that I sculpted last week on the stream in Embergen.
Mm-hmm.
And so just I played with it on Saturday a little bit and made some sort of green flames, but I thought maybe I'd re-import them and just go through some of the presets that Embergen comes with and see if any of them might look cooler than what I did on the weekend. It's just so crazy that you can just import your geometry in here and basically in real time have fire.
Yeah.
I mean, to do exactly the same thing in Maya would not be like 5 clicks play in real time. So
no.
So yeah, it's cool. You can just export an OBJ from Maya, and then the next version of Embergen will allow animated objects. So that'll be really cool.
That's cool.
So yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. Like they just got this huge preset library of all sorts of different types of fire and smoke and stuff, which I'll give you good start points.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's fairly straightforward to control the simulation. And since the performance is so fast, it kind of like you can kind of get where you need to be relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just export a VDB sequence from here and import it into Maya. So I think I'm just going to play in Embergen a little bit and see if I can come up with something that looks cool.
Nice.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Yeah, every time I'm like, I've been watching you use it every now and then. I'm like, okay, what could I do with that? Like, there's a lot of interesting things there, even just for stills, because you're working on it, using it for a still, I guess.
Yeah, because I still got this scene. Like since the stream last week, I sculpted the serpent and then I rigged him. So now he's in here, but he's I hide all the VDBs, so you can see I did a regular rig for this dude. So it's just like a spline handle rig, and just so I could get him posed into the scene. And then I thought it would be cool for him to just have some sort of like green flames and fire coming off of him. So this is kind of like this is like kind of where the render is currently at.
Mm-hmm.
But I might replace some of these flames that are in here with something a little less stylized looking. I'm not sure. I did render out all the passes last night, and so I got them in Photoshop so I can start playing in there as well. But let's see, this one is, this is a render pass without any of the stuff from Embergen. So yeah, so basically now with Embergen, like smoke, fire, fog, ground mist, all that kind of stuff is like really, really quick to do, which is really crazy. It's so awesome.
Yeah, it's like not traditionally easy or quick to do.
Yeah, so yeah, that guy's back there. I also added like some fire coming here. If I go into Maya, let's get the VDBs back. I mean, obviously the way they look in here compared to Embergen is not the same. But like I
Is
put
there a
like,
huge difference?
well, you know, Maya only shows VDBs as these points.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I meant like the render, but yeah.
The render you can get it to look the same because you're just using volume shader.
Sure.
And then it's just funny that this is what Maya's viewport shows your VDB at.
Yeah,
And this is
not
what
quite the same.
Jen's viewport shows it. Yeah, so.
Not quite the same. It's funny. Crystal, I have a question for you, a spotlight question, and chat may know the answer as well. I can't seem to sculpt with my spotlight on, and I know there's a button or a feature to be able to sculpt while I have the image up. You know what that would be?
I think you should be able to, yeah. Okay, so if you click Shift Z, it just like should pop it up and down, and Z is how you edit the. It'll bring up the edit mode. So if you're in Shift Z, you should be able to like move your model underneath.
But can't I like when it's up on the side like I have it right now? I can't. I can move my model, but I can't use any other brush on my model.
That's weird. I would assume.
I think there's a key for that, or there's something to do for that, but I kind of wanted to have it up as like reference the whole time. So that's very odd. Chad, if anybody knows what this button is, let me know. In the meantime, I will be toggling this thing off and on.
Like, I wonder if it's the pin, maybe. I don't know. Did you have it pinned in your settings?
I don't think so. I feel like it was a brush thing, like or an alpha thing. All right, you guys don't need to watch me dig through menus. Here, let's go to this this 4 up, 6 up box, and I'll get us aligned. There we go. Just watch. Oh, there we go. Brush samples turn spotlight projection off. Thank you, JCrew312 from Twitch. Brush samples spotlight projection. Is that for every brush? I would assume it is. Oh, looks like it's off.
That's good to know.
Aha, it worked. Thank you. I was like, I know there's a setting. I just couldn't remember where it was. I just love that there's like these 2 heads being sculpted and then just a snake that's on fire. like real time the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of just learning while I go. So I only just started using this program recently, but it's funny how, like, I remember back when I started learning Maya, like doing a render of just an optical effect would take like 15 minutes. So like just to learn what all the sliders did with like an optical effect node in Power Animator would take like a week, just because like play with a slider, do a render, wait 15 minutes, play with a slider, do a render, wait 15 minutes. And like now it's so much faster to learn stuff because you can just, you know, it's like, what does this vorticity intensity slider do? Put it to 0, the fire looks like that.
Oh yeah.
100%, now the fire looks like that.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
and
easier.
it just makes it so much faster to learn and get what you want.
Sure.
It's awesome. But I guess it's the same as like ZBrush versus, you know, NURBS modeling.
Yeah, I feel like we talk about NURBS a lot now. It's like it's so old. It's so different.
All traumatized by them for those who had to do it. Crystal,
yeah,
did you
exactly.
have to do NURBS modeling?
Never. No, I think I just got to go through college right as this passed necessity.
You dodged the bullet.
Yeah, you totally did. It's still being used in some things.
Talking about it.
Not everything. So Crystal, you've worked on a Marvel movie, a big Marvel movie. You've worked in the Harry Potter world. Do you have like another big franchise or world that you want to work in, or one that's your favorite?
Yes, Avatar.
Avatar.
I know Alex has worked on that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
looks like they're going to be making Avatar movies for the next 20 years. So
Yeah. So
I've been watching. I was like, they must have been waiting just for me.
yeah, exactly.
would you go to New Zealand for that?
Yeah. I mean, I've been, thinking about it, dabbling in the thought. But yeah, for now, right now, it's not the time. But at some point, I'm sure.
New Zealand's really pretty. It's crazy.
I really want to go. Never been.
I've been twice, and I would go again and again and again. It's like getting there is the issue because it's far, so the plane ticket's expensive. But once you're there, you don't, you can just drive the island and camp and just see the ridiculous beauty of it all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, working at Weta seems like it'd be pretty awesome. Working at the Weta workshop would be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Be hands-on with all that stuff.
Well, it's like Legacy or any of those physical places. There's just real stuff everywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That would be just so cool. So surreal. It's just been one of my favorite, just everything that they do at Weta is like nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I actually am going to be doing their webinar thing tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
For the stuff they just did for Unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about that?
I had heard about it, but I didn't know exactly what it was. Tell us.
I saw something they did for Unreal, was it a couple months ago or 6 months ago?
Oh my god!
Some little creature dude running around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they're doing a webinar breaking down what they did.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, I need to see this. Yeah, because whatever they did was just epic, literally. No pun intended.
It worked, yeah.
But yeah, I just need to know because how they dealt with the fur and everything was nuts. That was so cool.
Have you played around with Unreal?
Yes. So the job right before Digital Domain, I was actually working in VR stuff. So VR music festivals.
Cool.
So we were using Unreal in there.
I want to hear more about VR music festivals.
Not much more I can tell you.
Not yet, hopefully. Soon.
Not yet. Soon. But it's going to be cool. Sculptures back. I'm just making a mess. I was like, this morning, I was like, I hope today is a good sculpting day. Some days you just have horrible sculpting days and you're like, oh my good Lord.
Yeah,
and,
I've been there.
Yeah, I wasn't in ZBrush at all today for work. So I was like, we'll see how this goes.
Are you warmed up?
Yeah, I didn't get warmed up today. I was in Maya moving verts around. So.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you just got to have, one of those days where you're just cleaning up topology or polymodeling and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Those are some of the days. I do not mind, but.
Alex, people are asking if you can control the color of the flame in sections.
Well, I just changed the color. I mean, you've got a gradient in here, so you can. There's this gradient that controls the color. So you can see if I go in here and adjust this gradient, it's controlling how the gradient is being applied.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is basically the color control that you get in EmberGen. And so, which is similar to the type of control you'd get in a renderer like Redshift in Maya. And so basically it's a gradient that's basically mapping how color is being assigned. You can see that I'm getting, a basically real-time visualization of how that gradient is adjusting into the fire. And then I can take that gradient and copy it for how I render it in Maya as the emission attribute of a volume shader.
That's cool.
So yeah, so it's awesome that I can, in here also kind of do experiments on the color, and the fact that I can also do it while it's playing back.
Yeah, that's actually really cool as well, to just watch what it turns into.
Yeah, because the fact that this is real time running off a GPU, I mean, my graphics cards are humming right now, like whenever you're running the program. Yeah. But the fact that this is real time now kind of shows like where things are going to be going with volumetric effects in engine, and like if this is able to do this in Embergen, there's no reason why you can't start having real time volumetric effects in games.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous.
Grand Wizard Alvarez doing fire magic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Be cool if the snake was animated, so hopefully a month from now I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That will be neat.
All right.
Really got too big of eyes up in here.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that right now on mine. I'm like, the eye size is really deceiving. Like, I'm trying to figure out like what the actual eyeball size is and like where it should be. I'm probably gonna have to do what you did, which was draw a little iris on there.
You just have to eyeball it. Sorry.
2 for 2. 2 for 2 on the puns.
Right?
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, let's see.
no, I mean,
Dynamish.
deciding on eye size is the hardest, especially with stylized, because like too big and it looks weird.
Yeah.
Too small and it looks real. This girl's got some weird angled eyes, so I'm trying to like get them kind of similar.
Let's see.
We have Mrs. Longhead. Oh boy.
Wish you could color pick from Spotlight. Oh, you can. It just has to be fully up.
Okay.
You can tell that this is one of the streams that I'm not as comfortable in because I'm like actually trying to focus on working so much.
We're all just concentrating.
You're like, hey, yeah.
It's like, I want the flames to be shorter. There are 10 million attributes in here. Which one's the attribute that controls that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's the thing with learning software. It's like, I know it's in here. Something's controlling how long those flames are. And then I finally found it. Dissipation.
Yeah, oh, there it is. Okay.
Flame dissipation.
Good to know.
And now my flames are a little shorter.
I used to have like an eye shader.
I need to pick a frame that I want to export to Maya. That's the one thing in here is that it doesn't have, as far as I know, caching. So I can't scrub the time slider. So I just have to like, since I'm going to export just one frame of this fire, since I'm just working on a still, it's like I want to pick the frame where the fire looks cool. So it's like play, pause, play, pause.
Yeah, like I like that one. Save it.
Frame 167. Yeah, one thing I learned about EmberGen is that, since it's just playing while you're designing something, like I was getting to a point like on Saturday when I was playing with it, and I was like, oh, it looks cool. I want to export that frame. And I looked and I was at frame like 30,000 because it had just been playing for so long.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But to export that frame, it then has to, when you click the export VDB button, it has to start at the beginning and run up to that frame. And so it's like, oh, that's going to take an hour because it's like, who knows how long I've been playing to get to frame.
It has to get up to frame 30,000. Yeah.
So basically it's like, it's good to keep hitting R, which like takes you back to 0 on the timeline. So that if you find a frame you like, you're not too far away from frame 0. So like right now I'm at frame 167, so it wouldn't take long to run up. Anyway, so now I'm going to see if I can export this into Maya. Somebody asked if I'm on Octane. I'm not. I'm using Redshift. But there's some, I guess Otoy did some deal with EmberGen. So I guess if you own Octane, you now also get a license of EmberGen or something like that.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah. So let's see, I'm at frame 167. So create the export VDB node. Tell it what frame I want. Frame 167. I want one frame. And tell it where to write it to disk.
Where is my reference?
Eyes are not working at all. Now that I put irises in, they're very not correct. So that's exciting.
Did you rotate the eyeball first?
I didn't. Oh, good call.
I feel like it's easier to do that when you have the center.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna like put this ear and kind of get something blocked in for it, and then I can zero mesh this because I want to make it messy, and I'm just making it blobby.
So you're doing a zebra mesh now, or Dynamesh?
I'm just gonna make sure I get the ear in first. Sculptress is working against me for right now.
Do that. For those who are joining, Alex is using EmberGen.
Yep. Which is still in beta. So I only just stumbled upon it like a month ago because CG Channel just had like a little news plug on it. I was like, what's that? And then it was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, this is cool.
And but yeah, it's, I guess the 1.0 is supposed to come out this year.
They said what's going to be different or improved in 1.0?
They've got a roadmap with made with Trello, by the way.
Yeah.
That anybody can see. It's just go to Embergen's website and click on the roadmap, and then it lists like all the features they're working on, which is awesome. So they have like kind of a lot of transparency as far as what they're working on.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to get the scale issue fixed and import animated meshes are two of the ones I remember as being kind of critical.
Right.
But there was a whole bunch of other stuff. And then I guess they're also working on one for liquids.
Okay.
So Embergen is for like smoke and fire, and then I forget what they called it. Liquid Gen probably, maybe. But that's going to be, they said, a ways out.
They're going to make more of like similar things though.
I mean, if they can get the same kind of performance in viewport, but for liquids, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
All right. Like I'm getting to the point where I have all of the pieces in play, but they're not really working yet. Just looks like an alien. So we're going to have to work on this a little longer, I think.
I mean, I'm no further than you. We still have an alien lady here, and she.
All right, well, that's good to know.
Like she doesn't have lips yet, so.
Yeah.
There.
Eventually.
My number one rule is to not care much because it always looks bad until it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which makes streams kind of hard because you're just like letting everybody see.
Yeah, the beginning.
Entire
this is my
process.
Vulnerable time, guys.
I know.
You're seeing me when I'm vulnerable.
It's like,
that's
if
right.
I'm lucky, eventually, maybe this will look good.
Mm-hmm.
But you can watch while it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Crystal, you've been streaming a lot recently too, right?
Yeah, but I've been streaming more like a consistent project versus some speed sculpts, which I do plan to do some soon. It's just I have this project I want to finish, and people are following along with the progress, which is fun. So everyone feels genuinely invested, which is fun.
You got to finish it.
It'll be done. Yeah, I'm on the grooming phase right now. So we're grooming a big monkey.
Oh, cool.
It's like a big gorilla monkey man. But yeah, it took me a while to get used to streaming, not gonna lie. I used to be the kind of person that would even just hate when someone would stand behind my desk when I'm sculpting. And I'm like, go away.
Yeah, I'm working.
I don't like to be watched.
Yeah, you can't watch while I do this.
But you've gotten used to it? Like you like doing it now?
Yeah, I feel like that was just like when I first started in the industry, like when you're fresh off the boat, you just kind of feel, I guess, pressure, which is okay. That's normal. But then, yeah, now like I've kind of just gotten adapted to it in studios where, you know, people just stand behind you and that's okay. Sometimes people pass by and then they just peer. They don't even stand behind you, obviously. They just stand really far back and they're they're like watching from afar and they're like, that's cool.
Yeah, from like 15, 20 feet away, they'll like watch your screen. And do you ever have that moment where you're like, somebody's watching me? And you're like,
and
you
I'm
catch
like
them?
listening to music and I turn around and then they just casually walk away.
Yeah, they're like,
hey,
oh, good, see ya.
I got you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but when it comes to live streaming, I've kind of adapted to it as well. Like I kind of been forcing myself into this because it's fun. It just took a while to get used to the nerves of my own stream.
Sure.
I think after a while you realize people they just want to watch, and that's fun. I think I was just more nervous about like, the with the criticism, or just, like you don't know what people are going to ask you or say, or
Sure.
you never know if you're going to finish a model and it's going to look good, or it's going to be those ones you just throw away and you're like, never going to look at this again.
That's why there's more streams in the future. They don't always have to. Some are good, some are not great. And if you're doing a long form project, then it's just the first. That's the incentive for them to watch more. Is the next one will be good. The next stream is where you watch it transform from that ugly duckling to the final finished product.
Yeah, I think I did a lot of sculpt streams when I was doing that monkey. There was a lot of sculpt streams.
Yeah.
Takes a while.
Maya was being really slow, so I was thinking to myself, maybe I should restart Maya, and Maya quit out.
Oh, well, maybe that was part of why. Having some troubles.
It's like, well, I was going to do that anyway, so.
Yeah, you win.
You bastard.
Maya heard you. She was like,
absolutely.
How dare you want to close me? I'll close first.
You're not breaking up with me. I'm breaking up with you. Come on, wake up. There we go.
So how long have you been streaming for now?
Well, I actually made my Twitch account and I started streaming like a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just took like a 7-8 months off just because I got really busy and I don't know, I just could never stay consistent with it. And then I made it my goal for this year. Like, this is going to be the thing I do because we all work from home now. We have the time. So that's been my goal, is to kind of keep that up for this year and just find something consistent. It's been good. So basically, if I think I've been streaming for like the last, I would say like 3 months consistently.
It's good. It's like that's, I find that the routine is very helpful. Have the something that you're always coming back to or doing, like set time or place or project.
Yeah, it's helped a lot, especially with the pandemic. Like, need to have routines. And I feel like just working and just moving from this computer to my couch to watch Netflix was not enough of a routine for me.
Yeah.
I needed
Shockingly,
more.
it's not enough. Yeah. Speaking of Netflix, is there anything you've been watching that you've enjoyed? We watched the Snyder Cut. You guys watch?
Oh, yeah, we watched that on Friday. It's crazy.
So long.
We put it on just like, let's watch Snyder Cut. Cool. Put it on with dinner.
Yeah.
About an hour in, one of us is like, gotta go to the bathroom. So hit pause.
Yeah.
And then you pause, and then one of us noticed, like, wait a second. 3 hours left? Like, that can't be right. We had no idea it was a 4-hour movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
It's long.
It's really long. It's
yeah,
a little
absolutely.
long, but it's insane.
I thought it was way better than the original.
Oh, so much better. The original was hard to watch.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. I'm stoked for Jared Morantz. Like, I thought.
Yeah.
Looked super cool.
Steppenwolf was so much better.
Oh man, yeah.
A lot better. And there's like Darkseid is in there. There's a bunch of other cool things in there that weren't in there. They actually made Cyborg a real character.
Yeah.
Actually has a story arc, which is nice.
Yeah, no, it was but there was they spent a lot of money on that.
But
I was not expecting a, director's cut to I think I read somewhere it was like they spent like an extra $70 million or something crazy on Snyder Cut.
Yep. Somebody from Twitch is asking if Twitch has closed captions. I don't believe they do, but I think you can switch over to our YouTube, and I think YouTube does have closed captions. So if you're looking for those, we're streaming on YouTube right now. Might not be super accurate because I think they're live transcribed, but I think that they have them.
I exported my VDB wrong.
Oh.
Embergen Z up, so I have to go to the.
Oh, you have to flip it.
Export. Yeah, I got to tell it that it's Y up left or right-handed. That's the one. All right, re-export.
Like definition here. This is where I feel like I might want to add, like this is actually the perfect time for me when I would use Sculptress. Is like I like working lower, but I might turn it on to like sculpt this little like crease in here. That's kind of the way that I've used it, but I've never done it in the way that you're using it. It's like sculpting like a crease in here might be useful for me to like start shaping this out, even though I like the lower shapes, the lower resolution. Let's try this.
You can see the Embergen scale issue. I just imported it, and you can see how it comes in the wrong place and the wrong size.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, fix that, please. ZBrush used to have a ton of scale issues back in the day.
Yeah, I remember that.
Dude, that was
all kinds of issues.
I still have them sometimes.
It's not over yet, but yeah, it's getting
I
there.
have to avoid.
We were talking about Justice League Snyder Cut. That's what we were talking about. Do any of you have pareidolia, the ability to see images that aren't there yet? I do not have that ability. I guess like I assume that's like, you know, you imagine something in your mind that you like want to create, and then you kind of try to make that. I definitely do not have that.
I have that right before bed sometimes.
Oh, that's nice.
Like,
I'm sure that helps you sleep.
I think about all the things I'd like to make, and then I like the only time in the day that I'm super duper creative in terms of concepting. But you know, then I go to bed and I forget everything. So
gotta get a dream journal or a pre-dream journal, like.
Definitely do. Alright. This will do for now.
You're kind of getting all of the, you know, like I was saying earlier, the way that I kind of see it is I get a lot of the pieces in play, meaning like, you know, I'm not confident with how a lot of it's looking, but I know that it's like, you know, this is the ear, or this is the piece of the ear, or, you know, like you're getting the tongue in, and you just kind of get that block of clay in, and then you start sculpting.
Yes.
Or are you aiming for like what's your process when you're trying to get like a shape that you're looking for right now?
What I'm trying to do is basically the exact same thing. Like, I knew that I needed to open this mouth a little bit more. And I also know that like her ear is way too far back right now. But my problem is that this is anatomically correct. And this is a weird side view. So I'm trying to find like a good medium, like somewhere in middle ground where it looks proper and that it still matches the concept.
Right.
That's the part that I'm struggling with right now, is that she's so strange looking that it may not be exactly to the concept, which is sometimes what you have when you find stylized concepts. You have to cut corners and yeah. So basically I'm just trying to like block in the pieces and then adjust. It's even the tongue now. It's not in the right spot.
And you said you worked on or done stylized stuff and realistic stuff, obviously, from your professional portfolio. You have a preference you like to work on the most?
Honestly, no, not really. I just like, you know, I find that I end up sculpting stylized stuff at home when I'm working on realistic stuff at the studio, and then vice versa. So if I'm working on stylized stuff, then I might work on realistic stuff at home. But I kind of just switch between the two, and I like both equally. So
kind of how I've always been too. Like if I was working on a project or working on a project that's like realistic or the creature, at home I'd be doing something hard surface, and then vice versa. You know, doing something that's on a robot, I'm going to be working on a creature, or something that's the opposite, right?
Exactly. I don't know. It's just a nice like break, and you don't get sick, and you don't go into like withdrawal mode where you're like, I wish I was doing this thing. I like just like swapping between both. Plus, it's like I think if you want to model characters, it's such a niche thing. You should probably learn how to do both, stylized and realistic. But again, it's like it depends on where your skill levels lie and if you want that challenge. And because I feel like it's kind of like a brain teaser when you switch back and forth between trying to do stylized and how much realism do you put into a stylized, and then going back to realistic, and you're like, I gotta do all these details again.
Right. Yeah, the details and like the amount of, I find it's also like the amount of planes that you're putting in, like how, like what is, like it's almost like graphic shapes, you know, like at what point is it okay to just leave it as that graphic shape, you know, versus trying to get it more anatomical or more detailed, or it's definitely a challenge.
Exactly. Her right now, I'm like, how, like she looks pretty real but also pretty stylized, so I'm trying to figure out how much of this like dramatic cheekbone I want in here, how smooth it should be versus like, then it's like how much detail do you go into. I don't know.
Similarly, I think your character has some props, like, you know, the hat and hair. When do you start bringing those into your sculpt? Is there a certain time, or is it just when it feels right?
Just when it starts to feel right. Like until I start getting the face into the right spots with the tongue and probably the teeth I'll probably put in soon. Maybe I'll put eyebrows in as well. And next I would probably do hair, because that's a big silhouette change to fix.
Sure.
And then I would start bringing in the hat and everything else, because it's not affecting too much of like the actual character. This is a hard image to match because her eyes are twisted and she's also in more of a pose, so everything, like her whole body is like pushed further back, so I'm trying to keep that in mind.
This is always weird where it's like, for me, I'm using this reference image, and her neck is so long and her head is so big, it kind of looks like it's like on a stick. Gotta fix that at some point. Figure out how that's gonna work.
Oh, look at that! That's alien. We ain't here for that. This is what I mean. It's like this is matching the concept with the...
Right, exactly.
Let's check this out. Maybe I'll do 50.
I'm switching to sculptress mode. I'm going to try that for a little bit. These shapes in. How's the render looking at my Alex?
Just playing with it. I think I need to export it higher res. I think it's too low res of a VDB just to capture all the detail that was in EmberGen.
Mm-hmm.
But
does it take a long time to get that out and have it render in Maya? I mean, you're doing it like real time before, so obviously longer, but
well, the rendering, and I mean, right now I'm in Redshift, and it renders almost in real time.
Cool.
So I've got because I made display layers in Maya for everything, so I could just turn off the plants and the trees and the other VDBs and the environment fog just by using just regular Maya display layers.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because I started, it got to a point that there was just too much stuff in the scene for Redshift to update interactively.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's just like, just turn off everything I'm not working on, and then it gets fast again.
What? Yo, don't do that.
we don't have anybody in chat telling us, but we should all save if you haven't been saving.
Oh, yes. Will do. I always just trust ZBrush to auto-save.
That's fair, yeah. It's a lot of trust, though. I don't know if I could do that. Pro tip, save your work.
Trust is not here.
Yeah, trust we trust. Lips kind of in the right shape. And try to make those eyes work. I'm going to turn those irises off because they're freaking me out because it's like kind of right, but not right. Make that disappear for a minute. Did all these art jams start before the pandemic? No, they did not. They started almost 1 year ago, so very close to the beginning. I feel like our first stream was April 1st. So if you want to go check them out, there's almost a whole year's worth. So you're looking probably around 50 art jams in the past. So you got 150 hours of art jam if you want to go binge them.
Bring back the forehead.
Yeah, somebody says, save in iterations. That's a nice good tip for beginners if you haven't or getting into this. Do iterations. The style of iterations I ended up doing, this is not a production style, but I just put a 1 at the end, and then every version after that I put another 1. So the first version is 1, and the next version is 11, and then 111 and 1000 and 111. And that sounds weird, but when you actually look at it in your file manager, the one with the longest string of 1s is the most recent file, because I always got to this point where I would start saying, probably many of us have done this, but like final version, and then it's like final version, final with edits, final name of somebody. So I found it's helpful to have. I just kind of make the long string of numbers. Actually, you can kind of see it. Yeah, so these with the longest 1s are the most recent file. That's how I do it. Not a production way. They will definitely not be stoked to have you do that, but it works for when you're working on your own stuff. What would be a production level of saving iteration? There's usually like a naming convention for the files you have to save, or what, I mean, Crystal, when you're working on stuff, is it like the scene, like is your file naming convention very specific to what you're working on?
It's named like basically usually like character and then whatever your character name is or asset name or whatever, and then it would just be version 001. Mm-hmm. For most places, like if it's your working scenes versus the publish that you're going to send out to the rest of the studio, mm-hmm. That's a whole other story. But the working scenes are like kind of up to you, depends on the studio. But you kind of want it to look nice, because when people go in there, they're not like, what is this?
Yeah, they don't want to go into your
Usually it's just like version 001, or like personally, if I do exports or anything like that from ZBrush, I always set like the date, so it's whatever month, day, and then year, and then 001 of whatever day, like whatever export it was for that day. Mm-hmm. And then I just rename my files like that every time I export. That keeps it super clean and organized, so you know exactly, because you could just keep making exports and be like, this is for the face displacement from a week ago, and then you're trying to find that and you don't know where it was. So sometimes it's just easier to sort it by day.
Yeah, that is one of the big reasons you should also have a reasonable file naming structure, so that when other people have to use your scenes, because at some point they will for some reason, that it makes sense.
Yeah, it will happen, and then people will be like, "What is this?"
What
and you're like,
is
I
this?
don't know.
What do you mean? Like, it's just my files. So they're like, it looks serial killer map. Like, it looks insane in this directory. That happened.
Okay. This is the point where I've decided that I can't match it 100% to the concept.
There was a question about that, about what time do you... There was a good question about that, which is, when do you break, like, away from the concept, whether it's not working or whether it's, whatever. You have a specific thing that you're looking for when you do that? Or is it just...
Personally, it's just when it doesn't work anymore. Like, I'm trying to look at the anatomy, and when I match the concept, we're getting a squished head like this. And clearly, from the front, this is not going to work.
Right, right.
So it depends on your concept. If you've got like clear concepts from front, side, and different views, then there's really no excuse. You should just match it as much as you possibly can.
Sure.
But if it's just one image, it's really hard to justify, like, and to really see what the heck's happening. So I would say, like, at the point where it's just not working from all angles anymore, when you start matching the concept, that's when you can kind of stray a little. Get things looking closer.
You have to basically break it to make it work at a certain point.
You do. I'm just trying to make it super, as close as I can before I decide to break it.
Mm-hmm. Some we're talking, got a little pipeline, naming conventions talking about in the chat. Yes, sometimes they are done by automation, but a lot of the times, like Crystal was saying, that it can depend on the place that you're working on or what type of file you're working on. I have somehow created holes in my geometry. Exciting.
Dynamesh.
I think it was... I'll just Dynamesh, but I think it was Sculptress Pro when I was sculpting like this. I was sculpting on like a section of it, and it ate away at it. That's really interesting.
I think they implemented that so that it was easier for people to cut holes. So if you needed like earring holes, for example, or things like that, I think there's a setting you can probably turn on to make that not happen, but I don't know it.
Yeah, that's fine. Just Dynamesh this thing pretty high. I might just Z-remesh at this point. But before I do that, I'm going to carve this eyeball in a little bit. Get a loop around there. Are you looking for the perfect frame?
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for ZRemesh to finish.
Yeah, it's like, I could export a sequence and then just like pick a frame in Maya, but then it's kind of faster to just do it this way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just realized part of getting the look in Maya to match EmberGen was I forgot to export temperature, because in EmberGen, you can choose what it's exporting. And so like density, fuel, flames, temperature, or whatever. And I didn't have temperature checked. And the way this gradient is being mapped to the flames right now is being based on the temperature. And so since I didn't export the temperature, I couldn't get the look to match in Maya. So that's why I had to come back to EmberGen.
Yeah.
I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I'm learning.
That's fine.
But, I could just export a screen grab of the interface right here and make an NFT out of it. And then I'm done and I'm rich.
Yeah, there you go.
Easy money.
Every day I'm just shaking my head.
Yeah, it's an interesting world out there right now.
That's crazy. Yeah, Meats texted me earlier. I guess Mark Cuban is now making a digital gallery for people to display their NFTs. Did you hear about that?
No.
It's called lazy.com.
Okay.
And basically it allows you to connect your MetaMask wallet so that any NFTs that you own can then be like shared to other platforms so that you can basically share what you own.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess the idea makes sense, but it's like lazy.com. What a bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, why lazy? They're like, because it's the lazy way to share what you have. It's like, you mean easy? Is that the word you're looking for?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is an interesting question. What are some red flags you notice when working with inexperienced artists? I guess, are you talking about like hiring artists, or like what would those red flags be from the question? I think
red flags when working with inexperienced artists. Like,
yeah. I guess I would think that's more of like a hiring question.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't do too much hiring. At all. I do not.
I think the biggest red flag is in the interview if you can't like have a real conversation with them. Like if you can't just talk to them.
Well, yeah, personality for sure. Like people have to be somebody you want to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But is it like like once you've actually hired somebody and they've gotten past that, what would a red flag be?
Yeah, I don't know what that would be afterwards. He clarified and says hiring. It's an open question, he says. I think,
hiring,
the biggest one is personality.
Yeah, like that's the one thing everyone's looking for. Because I mean, I've heard from a lot of people who do hiring. Obviously, it's different from every company, but usually if you're already in for the interview, they already like your work. They already think you can do the job. They just want to make sure you're not crazy or that you can fit with the team and that like you actually confirm that you did the work yourself. So, I mean, what they're looking for is they're looking for the red flags of those things. Basically those things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've hired so many people over the years just for Gnomon, and it's all that, you know, it's just like, are people going to want to go to lunch with you every day? Are people going to want to hang out and have a coffee with you? Are people going to, it's like people getting along is so important.
Yeah.
I'd rather have somebody that's super cool and puts everybody in a good mood that's less talented than somebody who's amazing but a dick.
Yeah, for sure.
It just sets a really horrible mood at the studio too, and especially when you're trying to make art with people like this too. It's hard. You sit and argue with them all day sometimes. And this is just not the industry for that.
No, it is not.
No. It would be okay if you're working freelance by yourself at home, maybe. But not when we're all team oriented. That's like my biggest like advice to basically junior artists. It's just like, be nice. The guy sitting next to you might be getting you a job one day, and when you work in the studio, you have to work with those people again. It's not a competition.
Right. It's collaborative. It's teamwork.
Exactly.
People are really curious about Embergen. They want to know how it compares to Houdini or softwares like Houdini.
Well, it's teeny tiny compared to something like Houdini. So, Houdini and Maya are like full-fledged 3D programs that can do anything. Embergen is a specialty tool that does, smoke and fire fluid simulation. So I think since it's so specialized, I mean, it's like the whole program is what is these nodes that I have visible in the node graph. There aren't that many more than these. So it's really small, which means that you can pick it up pretty quick. but it's beta. It doesn't have. It's not like, I think if you need to do, fully integrated visual effects with, destruction and smoke and fire and demolition, all that stuff, you're going to go to Houdini, or Maya, because this is really a one-trick pony. But if you just need elements, like animated VDB sequences that you can import in other tools, then like a game engine or like Maya or whatever, it's amazingly cool. So I think it's the kind of thing that you can kind of pick up in a weekend, to be honest. You don't pick up Houdini in a weekend, So I think if you are wanting to be an effects artist and you learn Maya and you learn Houdini, you'll end up picking up Embergen just to add it to your toolkit, just like how somebody who uses ZBrush might, might use another tool, a plugin like UV Master, right? Like it's a quick thing to learn that helps you, but it's not, the cornerstone of your pipeline. That's kind of like my point of view on Embergen so far. So for me, like I do a lot of stills, like personal work. And so for that, where I just need like some fire or smoke that I can just composite in and render separately, comp it in Photoshop, like Embergen is amazing for that. So I think anybody who wants to do personal work and stills, who wants to integrate smoke or fire, then Embergen is easily the way to go because it doesn't have this huge learning curve.
Awesome.
I mean, it's like I'm getting like, 60 frames per second playback. This exact same thing in Maya would play back at like 1.
Right. Yeah.
So you're play blasting all the time, which means you have to take a lot of breaks. Yeah, you can make flip books, you can make sprites, you can do all sorts of stuff like that. So there's a trial. So if anybody watching thinks this looks cool, there's a free trial. So that's what I started with, is just download the free trial. It's got a ton of presets that it comes with when you download the free trial. So you just open the presets and kind of figure out how they're put together. And a lot of the presets are really cool looking. And it makes it a lot easier to learn. And then if you dig it, then you buy it. And so like I bought it this weekend because my trial expired, $250. I thought it was worth it because, dude, it's so cool.
Right.
Somebody said, is Blender better?
Blender better.
Then what?
Yeah, so that's the real question.
This is the #1 question that always happens in my streams.
Blender.
Blender always comes up. Always.
Absolutely. Every single time.
Without fail.
Funny because it always
better thing. It's been around since the beginning of software, so it's like asking, an artist, like, what pencil do you use? What pen do you use? Like, in the end, it's like whatever gets the job done. But I think people need to look at the studios they want to work for and see what tools those places are using. And that's kind of what determines what you should learn.
Mm-hmm. Most of the time, the studios won't use Blender. It would give you the option if you wanted to. Sometimes.
And that's usually just depending on the specific skill set that you're using. Like modeling, it's probably fine, but lighting may be a hard no.
Yeah, it would be modeling. Modeling, they tend to keep a little bit, like lighter, because they know there's some tools in there that are useful. But in terms of, like, I think they just don't mind as much because it's free. But like, if it's just not the software they use, for example, if it's 3ds Max that you want to start modeling in, they have to buy it. They'd be like, nah, use my.
No, use the other one.
In the end, you got to publish through their tool that has the pipeline through it and everything. So.
Somebody asked if I do music. I play the piano, kind of. So I just do that stuff for fun, but so guitar, keyboards, and Josh just started learning to play the guitar. So.
Yeah, that's my pandemic hobby.
It's a pretty good hobby for the pandemic.
Yeah, nice. Don't have to go anywhere. Nice. A lot of resources online. For sure. Fingers are kind of messed up now.
Yeah, it really messes up your fingers. I played guitar for a few years now.
Yeah.
Like at least, oh my gosh, 12 years.
Wow. You have a favorite? Do you have a favorite style to play?
Just acoustic anything. I really like acoustic everything, basically. It's just such a
same.
nice sound.
You go Gnomon band at some point. Somebody said.
Get Phil in there.
Yeah, there you go.
You follow Phil on Instagram?
No, I don't.
Oh, he's plays like speed metal, and he sings too.
Okay.
Gnomon Phil. So yeah, it's a lot of. I had no idea, and then just followed him on Instagram. I'm like, dude, just like speed metal guitar singing. It's awesome.
Nice. Have you ever had to rely on actually applying for jobs in the field now for work? Has it primarily been from networking? Crystal?
When I first started, I applied every single place in the entire city of Vancouver, and I was like, yo, somebody please hire me. So that was my first experience with job hunting and like in this industry, and it was a time. So yeah, it takes some time to get that first job, but after that, I think it's still developed. Like it takes maybe 3 years of working in the industry before you can really rely on the connections you've made to get you in places, unless you're just making those crazy connections right out of the gate. But it also depends on how much a studio needs people, and if that person works there that you've worked with before, kind of just amazing luck lining up. But I think at about 3 years you've met enough people that you can some people will say, hey, you want to come here, and you'll just say sure. So from now on, I haven't really, I think the only time I was applying for jobs was after right in between the pandemic. So I finished my contract at DNEG, and then I had to apply for some jobs because I didn't have a job. So
Sure.
So but that was the one time I didn't have nobody, all my connections didn't have anything. So but that's always the first place I check, is with all my friends and see what's going on. You guys got anything cracking at your studios? And they let me know what's up. And if they were just laying off a bunch of people, then clearly the answer is no.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for the most part, I think it's just touch and go. Even senior artists sometimes have to send out applications.
Yeah, and I think for me it was just the connections. Just like you're saying, that first job is applying to places, and then after that it's those people typically who you've met.
This goes back to the whole thing of being a nice person.
Absolutely.
If you weren't a nice person to work with, then these people didn't want to help you later.
Yeah. Then when you ask them, they're like, no. And then they tell hey, if this person applies, no, just
Well, it also happens often, like when you apply for a job and you have somebody, maybe you didn't even know that person that like
I
you
was
worked with
working
before
there.
is working there now. The head of department or wherever it is will notice that you're connected on LinkedIn or that you know each other or something,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll ask about you.
Oh, yeah.
At that point, that's when it's entirely. The minute they say something bad about you, it's over. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't even gotten
Mm-hmm.
interviewed yet, and it's over.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those that cliche thing of like it's a small industry.
It really is, though. And at
It
this
really
point
is.
in my career, I have so many people I know from all over the world. Like,
Oh yeah, right.
well, because they worked with me in Vancouver and then they decided to move to London, or now they're in New Zealand, or
Mm-hmm.
like. So at some point, the people you work with are just going to be all over the place, not
Yeah.
just in the city you live in.
All right, we're about halfway in. Got an hour and a half to go.
I ain't getting this whole thing done for sure.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I'll get to the hair. Right now, I'm like, I just want to make this face look okay. We'll get there. But
I'll finish it eventually, but probably
yeah,
not
exactly.
for this stream. That's my problem with like trying to live stream something in 3 hours is like you can't be a perfectionist. You just have to like go through the motions and hope that it looks okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to sculpting, so it's kind of doesn't work out in my favor to be fast. I don't think I could do those like quick concept sculpts like super duper fast.
They're tough to do those super fast. You end up like kind of relying on some. A friend of mine calls them recipes, like common shapes that like to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll get to, then maybe you put a little flair on top of it, but use those recipes quite a bit. Especially if you're trying to do like multiple a day in 3D.
I think I would definitely have to condition that side of myself. I've just been conditioning the side of myself that makes a nice thing.
Mm-hmm. It's a different thing. It really is.
Yeah. That's why when people say like, did you concept this yourself? I'm like, oh, no. I could never. I mean, I could one day, but not right now. It takes a different brain, I think.
Do you have I'm looking at my concept and I'm realizing that the eyelashes are a huge element of this face, at least this eye shape. Do you have a technique you like to use for that?
You could use fiber mesh, or and that can give you something quick, pretty fast. Pretty cool, pretty fast. There we go. Or you can use there's like you can make your own like insert multi-mesh brush with like just one lash. You can just insert a bunch, or mask it out. And if you're gonna do for like the really stylized kind of eyelashes, just like a big clump, you can just mask the section and just extrude it out.
That's what I was thinking. Like doing a little extract or something, or extrude it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the eyes are just too small now, but like.
What does it look like when you like toggle it off and on?
It's definitely like too small. But
maybe a little.
oh god. Ugh. Buttons. See this ear. This is the problem. It just feels like it needs to go inwards, but the moment I do, she just looks wrong.
Like odd. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just that's the place I can't match, or it's gonna look strange.
Mm-hmm.
I can maybe move her a little. And looks very thin and creepy, so I'm okay with that.
Got a general entertainment question about thoughts on the state of the mainstream entertainment with all the reboots and remakes. Should people support more independent content? It's a good question. There's obviously a ton of big stuff happening all the time, you know, whether it's the Marvel stuff, you're talking about the Avatar stuff, but then I think there's a lot of really great independent content coming out that I've been watching in the past year at least. So I think there's a lot of stuff out there. I think that there's always going to be a place for both, personally.
I mean, yes, I agree. I think there's just all the reboots and stuff. For me personally, I'm just getting, I need something else.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate when there's something new. Like I really liked Arrival when that came out.
Yeah.
Like something completely new. I also like movies that are based off books, but in terms of like full reboots of the exact same thing that's come out before, or just, I don't know. Marvel's good and all. I like Marvel, but there's just a lot of it.
Yeah, that's why there's room for other stuff. Like one of the movies that came out pandemic-wise that I quite liked, and Alex and I have talked a lot about, was Palm Springs. I liked Palm Springs quite a bit. I thought that was really good.
Movie is hilarious.
Yeah, it's really good. Definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. And I think if you look at a lot of the Oscar nom movies, especially for Best Picture this year, almost all of those are smaller or seemingly smaller. So I'd check those out.
So I haven't even seen most of them.
We try to kind of go through all of them every year to make sure we've seen them all. So we're just now starting. We started watching Mank, David Fincher movie. Mank.
Oh, how is it?
Good. We got like halfway or a quarter into it because we started it too late, but it's good. Like it's clearly in the style, of the late 30s, like in that kind of early, Citizen Kane style movie. But there's clearly a lot of thought put into the crafting of that film, which is really cool to see. So I've been enjoying it, but we still got to finish it. We started watching that. We watched Judas and the Black Messiah, which was really good. There's a lot of good ones out there.
You guys like scary movies?
I'm not a horror movie fan because I get scared real easy. So I try to avoid them. But my wife really likes them, so we sometimes watch them. Gotcha. Not as often as she'd like. Are you?
I love them. They're awesome. But I prefer, like, they need to be good. That's the thing. They have to have some sort of good story. Or I'm just like, it wasn't good. Like, the thing I've been really liking recently But one of my favorite horror anythings is The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh yeah.
I have not seen
You
that.
watch the follow-up season?
The Haunting of Bly Manor, yeah, it's another good one. But Haunting of Hill House is still like my favorite, I think.
Really?
It's just so well directed and just a big fan. And the story is so good. I'm a sucker for good stories. Like, I mean, I hope everybody is, but
right, yeah.
I don't like just pretty visual effects, but if it has both, that's nice too.
Mm-hmm.
But that show is like very pretty, and the story just I remember watching it and I was like, oh my god, I have to watch this again. I have to rewatch it, and I watched it all over again.
Oh really?
Yep, it was that good.
It was nice when you find something like that.
Now.
Oh wow,
well,
that's awesome.
It's one of those shows you kind of have to watch multiple times because the story needs to be told again, but now that you understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm. But that's just speaking of independent or smaller budget movies. At least that's like the whole Blumhouse method. But basically movies that don't cost over $5 million. A lot of them. And I think that's where Paranormal Activity came from. A lot of the horror movies came from that. Even movies like Whiplash was a Blumhouse movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's good ones in there. I always kind of look for whatever they're making because I think that that's a interesting business model from a production studio who's basically saying we'll only give you so much to make a movie. You can kind of make what you want, and even some of the more well-known names like Invisible Man, I thought was pretty good.
Yeah,
what did you think about Invisible Man?
It was pretty good.
I haven't seen the new one.
Haven't seen the new one? I liked it. I liked it quite a bit.
I'm pretty tough on movies, though, if I'm honest.
You are?
So it's very rare if I'm like, that was really great. Like Joker. I loved Joker.
Okay.
I thought that was a very successful movie. And I'm pretty sure the budget for that was pretty low.
Yeah, that was definitely a lower budget one, especially for superheroes.
I want to get to building the other pieces of this face, but I just can't decide if this is working. It's a struggle.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just add the eyebrows for now.
What I had happen with mine was I've been sculpting with that reference plane, and then all of a sudden I turn perspective on, and I got this weird deer-headed creature, which is very different than what it was before. So I'm like, okay, here we go.
She looks better without perspective on, but
yeah. So that's the thing I'm going to have to deal with.
Honestly, the perspective should probably be 35, but we're not going to go there.
I have mine at, this is 35, which is much different.
find most portraits are taken at like 85 to 150, basically. So when I'm sculpting heads, I try to sculpt at that because I assume that when somebody paints a picture, they're painting from reference that was also shot at 90 to like 150 around there. So when I'm looking at this, 85 is reasonable, but I could probably move this up. So, I don't know.
The focal length or the field of view?
Yeah. Was I? The focal length, yeah.
Yeah.
So probably anywhere between like 85 to 150.
That's what mine was lower than that before, so I feel a little better.
But it all depends because, depends on the camera that took the photos. But I hope and I assume, since this is what I usually render my portraits at in Maya, is it about a 90? So when I'm sculpting in here, I try to match what I'll be rendering at least, and usually what the reference I'm looking at is. Getting hot outside finally, and now I'm just like sweating in my 16th floor apartment. And they haven't turned the air conditioning back on.
Oh, really? They're like, you're not ready for it yet.
Well, they have this thing where they turn it off for the winter, which, totally makes sense. But
Sure.
But then it starts to get warm and you're like suffering. I'm melting.
Stop noodling on this face at the hour mark, which is in 10 minutes. So I'm going to try to get some of this in there.
Yeah, I'll probably put hair on, at least. At least we'll get that on.
Get a little more. Part of the concept in there.
Let's extract that. Oh boy, those are some thick brows.
I didn't know the new, somebody was saying the new Spawn movie will be made through Blumhouse. That's cool. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
When's that coming?
Yeah, when is that coming out? I have no idea.
No, me neither. Because that old one was a bit of a mess.
Yeah, unfortunately. Was. You sculpt with perspective on all the time?
Sorry, my headphones just cut out. Are you talking to
me? Yeah, I just asked if you sculpt with perspective on all the time.
Yes. My headphones did that again. Okay, I'm sorry. They keep talking to me. It's the Sony, like the.
Sure, yeah, no.
Used to them.
It's totally fine. Do you sculpt with perspective on all the time?
Okay, we got it. Okay.
Cool.
She didn't interrupt you this time. She just speaks in my ear. She's like, battery at 50%.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it depends. Like if I'm working on something that's hand drawn, just as like a flat perspective orthographic views, then I'll sculpt without perspective on, because that's the most accurate, because this is perfectly orthographic. But when we turn this on, it's not orthographic anymore. So if it's images and I'm trying to reference like photos of somebody's face, I usually try to match, and I sculpt in perspective and I try to match the camera that I'm referencing at that time.
Right. It depends.
Yeah.
What if you're sculpting like, like you said you were sculpting like a monkey or something for your own stream.
Yes. So that I had like kind of I had a concept that was drawn and he was standing in 3/4, similar to like how this concept is 3/4. So for the most part, I kept like a perspective of basically what I would assume that his photo would have been taken at, because he was in 3/4. So it wasn't necessarily an orthographic view at all. If I had orthographic drawings, I would have used those, but and then I would have sculpted without perspective. But this one I decided like, okay, he was probably at about a 50 lens because he was standing further back, 35 or 50, and I sculpted him at that. We got some pretty decent results.
That's cool.
But usually it's just like how I usually decide based on whatever reference I'm using.
Whenever I would come over to my artists who I would be art directing, some of them would sculpt with perspective on all the time and some would not. And I was like, for those that didn't, I was like, how do you do this? Like, I don't understand how you can sculpt and
still make it look good.
I just don't get it. But
they have the skills.
They could do it. I cannot. As soon as I do it and I put perspective on it, it always just looks like, you know, you got way too close to the camera. I do only sculpt in perspective. Somebody was asking in the chat. Yes. What program is in the top left? That is Embergen. I almost said Emberjam.
Amberjan.
I don't know if I like that, but whatever. We'll keep it. We're at that point.
You're at the, well, maybe not this time, but next time. Save mine, and I'm going to start getting some eyelashes in here, I think, and then I'm going to do the eyebrows and then the hair. We'll see how this part goes.
Good luck. There's a
lot of hair in this thing. I'll probably just do big sculptural chunks. That'll be the attempt.
I'm gonna just put some color on this because I feel like it's gonna be hard to see what if this is matching without a little color.
I just realized I could totally cheat. Yay.
What can you do? Just copy the image from Embergen?
I was just like, why am I even trying to get this over into Maya and rendering correctly? I can just screen grab it from Embergen and just like paste it into my Photoshop file.
Put it on screen or whatever.
Oh, because when you're rendering fire, you're just rendering something emissive. It doesn't matter. It's not based on scene lighting. So I don't need to render it out of Maya. I can just basically comp it in Photoshop.
Right.
So I'm just doing a quick test just to see if I like this fire better than the other one, but it actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
When shit's not working, find another way.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that completely.
All right, hair. Let's do some hair.
Oh yeah, I'm curious how you start your hair.
Just another sphere.
The old sphere technique.
Sphere. Well, first we start with an afro.
Okay, classic. Yeah.
Classic afro. First, oh, there we go. I'm just gonna make sure I have symmetry on first, because
Quick synth. Yes, that is an OB6, which is awesome.
that classic afro.
Has anybody here used Adobe Medium or Gravity Sketch or other VR creative tools? If so, what do you think about their impact so far and moving forward? Crystal, have you used VR sculpting at all?
I was going to, but I never got into it. Just like I had the VR headset and everything for my last job, and I wanted to give it a shot, but fortunately, I just never had the time, so I can't speak for it.
Yeah, I've done it a little bit. I've only used Gravity Sketch, and I like it quite a bit. I have struggled to find a way to get it into my workflow, though. It's the biggest challenge that I've had with it. Yeah, I like them. I think moving forward, VR has a lot of potential I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on with VR and virtual production and things like that, but and virtual sets and location scouting and all that. So bringing assets into VR makes sense, I think, at some point potentially for directors to be able to view them and to, prep shots and cinematography and all that. But on the art side, I think it's a little hard to say right now from my perspective, just because it's still got some stuff to work out, in my opinion. So it hurts my eyes when I put it on for too long.
I will be right back.
I get immensely motion sick. Just in general. I get motion sick from just riding in the passenger seat of the car. Or sorry, the back seat. So yeah, I was kind of a guinea pig. I was the best guinea pig at the last studio I was at, because they were like, "Oh, does this make you sick? If it does, okay, we need to change it."
Immediately, were you like, yes?
Most of the time.
Oh, that's like.
And then I'm just like out for the whole day, Like,
I was gonna say that's like torture. It's just like, all right, try it this time. All right.
It wasn't so bad.
Well, that's good. Not too bad.
They didn't do that all the time.
Not like every single day.
Oh gosh.
You get into color right away? Like I see you obviously, colored the tongue and you're doing some of the makeup stuff around the eyes. Like, is that something you start right away?
I just like to block it in sometimes, especially with this concept, because she's got dark eyes and it's hard to see without, like, if I'm doing things properly without kind of matching the colors. I mean, the tongue was necessary, but I just like it red. I don't know. It is something I do often, though, is I kind of just block in colors as I see it. I prefer to see it inside of ZBrush with some colors.
Right. Makes sense. Using a not like white base shader, so my colors are all a little off, which is kind of annoying, but not too bad.
I understand. We got some weird things happening here. Okay, this is not the brush I wanted. Get out of my favorite. Oh my gosh, I can't even change the brush. I've ruined my UI. Okay, whatever. This is chaos.
What happened?
I have no clue.
Uh-oh.
I clicked hatch, I guess, and now it's just stuck.
Oh.
It doesn't want to change. Like, it's just like I'm not doing anything, but it won't go.
Well, this is the old save and reboot, I think. Save and reload.
Maybe I'll have enough time to put the hat in.
Oh, all right. Yeah, there's the VR headsets with the lenses is a definitely a difficult thing. Let's see. On lit mode, yep. Can I explain my workflow more about my workflow of the eyes? What I don't remember what I was talking about. The workflow of the eyes. Miguel from Twitch is asking. I don't remember what. Not sure what you were asking there. All right. What was I doing? That's right. Is this masked? Yes. Okay. Fill object. Sometimes I just have to stream of consciousness, like say what I'm doing. I find that it's sometimes helpful to like have a bunch of things to do. This needs to be smoother.
I fixed it. It's because it was stuck in my smooth brush. It all makes sense now. Oh my goodness.
What was happening?
The hatch was stuck in my smooth brush. We have, yeah, that, it's all right.
Interesting. Eyebrows. I'm on those. Do you ever break symmetry?
When you're doing hair?
No, just in general. Like I assume at some point you do, but like, is there like when you're doing these types of things, or is there a time when you like just kind of say like, I'm going for it, breaking symmetry, or do you try to stay in symmetry as long as you possibly can?
I usually try to stay in symmetry as long as I can.
You do.
And then when there is a certain point of no return.
Mm-hmm.
And if I decide to break symmetry, I try to have like a zero mesh base on whatever I'm breaking symmetry on, and I can make it a layer. So at least I have the option to go back.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Layers a good idea. I hear that. It's funny, talking to different types of artists who work in different fields. I hear that a lot from those that work in production, putting symmetry, certain types of changes that are like kind of destructive changes on a layer.
Mm-hmm. I try to work as non-destructively as possible because notes suck. I mean, I like notes. I love notes. I love when people give me notes, but I hate when people give me notes and I can't fix it as fast as I'd want to.
Yes.
So the more non-destructive you are, the easier those notes are going to be to do.
It gets a little easier when you can quickly make those changes.
Yeah. Like if someone had given me notes for like changing the size of the eyeballs and moving them over, and then I'd have to adjust the eyelids and stuff. That's so much easier to do with symmetry than it is to do without.
Okay.
Is a workstation grade PC necessary for VFX or Maya, or is a high tier gaming PC? I'm using an Alienware right now. That's a gaming PC.
A lot of the labs and Gnomons had or have Alienwares.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got both. So we've got, workstations from Lenovo, and we've got, Alienware boxes. These days, thanks to graphics cards being such a driver of performance, it's like anything that you can plop a GeForce card into.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you've got at least, enough RAM. I think compared to back in the day, like these days, it's so much easier to get a machine that's going to work.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, there's a lot of workstation companies out there that are like super expensive, and I think it's unnecessary unless, like box workstations are cool, but they're so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the point, really? I think a lot of people just build their own workstation or stations when they're trying to save money.
Yeah.
Including a lot of people who just like building their own workstations, and it's not so much about the money, they just like doing it. I am not one of those people.
Yeah, I don't necessarily love that. I know a lot of people who do.
Oh, me too, for sure. There's a lot of really cool cases and light setups and stuff you can get for, in the PC world, but I really prefer just getting like all-in-one solutions. But I'm just fortunate to have been able to do that for a while.
Somebody says they're the one layer gang in Photoshop. No thanks. I respect it, but I am not the one layer gang.
one layer gang isn't like just one layer, nothing else?
Nothing else. Only one layer. Collapse it to one layer.
Oh no. Oh no. I'm like the 50 layer gang, and then I
Yeah.
duplicate things because I feel like I'm gonna need it later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like just in case.
Save me.
Oh yeah, layers are great. I started using Photoshop before there were layers, which is weird to think that Photoshop used to not have layers.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like that's like one of the core tenets of Photoshop now is layers. Flashes in. Here, 45 minutes.
I'm gonna just definitely not go that far into their brain. We don't put puns.
That's okay.
This is not anatomically correct.
No, definitely not. But as long as we're all aware of it.
Mistakes were made. Do I play any video games? Well, one of my favorite games is The Last of Us.
So good.
Played number 2, and it was pretty good. But you know, everyone has their own beef with that story.
That was a tough one to get through, but I got through it. Did you finish the whole game?
Yes. Yep. Straight
Lots
through.
of mixed emotions. Yeah, same here.
had-
Like just started on a Monday and played all the way into the weekend.
Yeah, I didn't know how to feel after that. I was like,
Me
I'm not
neither.
sure. I don't know.
I mean, it was amazing, but
Yes. But
why did you do that to me, Neil Druckmann? Looking forward to the show, though. I'm super curious what that's going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I saw the cast. I could say that they could have cast that better.
You don't like the cast, or you do like the cast?
I think that there's better people that looked more accurate to characters. But again, like it's all about the performance rather than like what they look like.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, like The Witcher, it took me a while to get used to Yennefer because she doesn't look anything like Yennefer in the game. It's just like, but it's not her.
Right. It doesn't look like her.
How do you guys have time to play games? Well,
Make time.
COVID happened.
That's true.
I usually don't, but back like last spring when everything kind of shut down and I just started catching up on all the games I've been meaning to play. But generally, yeah, it's hard to find time to play games.
I find I just spend all my time watching TV shows, and now I've just kind of finally kicked that habit. And now I have time to play games. But again, I don't really play that much. Like the only game I've been playing casually is Fall Guys.
Mm-hmm.
So everything else, like I don't think I've played through a game since Last of Us 2 came out. Yeah, pretty much. And then I think before that, I got Borderlands 3, and I didn't make it through the whole thing. And I just lost interest. And then before that was Spider-Man, which was a while ago. Amazing Spider-Man.
The Insomniac one? Like the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I like Spider-Man.
This person had to watch Matthew had to watch his friend go through the 5 stages of grief after playing Last of Us 2. It's true. Big facts.
That's pretty funny. Shouldn't I be using ZBrush as well? No. Here's last week.
You can do what you want.
I do what I want. I thought I'd have more time from last week to this week to finish this image, and then I could have been sculpting something new today, but that's not how it worked out. Since I decided to go down the EmberGen rabbit hole and lost a bunch of time to that. Well, it's not lost.
Yeah, you discovered a whole bunch of new stuff.
Yeah, now I can make crazy flames. I wouldn't have done a flamey serpent thing before learning EmberGen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's EmberGen's fault that I'm not using ZBrush.
There you go.
Oh.
Liquify doesn't work on 32-bit images. That's
Yeah.
That is annoying. I want to liquefy this flame, and I can't.
They said no.
Yeah, they denied you.
Okay. Getting more of this slouchy eye.
It's a weird eye shape.
It really is, because if I go to the concept, it's like really slouchy, like we're talking like this. And then from the front, it just looks weird.
Yeah. Like really having to do something that feels unnatural. That's always a challenge though, like when you find and that's part of why it's fun to do stuff off of concepts, as you're, finding things that are different shapes. So then like that, I think you had said it earlier, but part of like the puzzle, like trying to get that to work. How does this work? Can it work?
Most of the time, no, but it will.
You'll make it work.
Man, it takes forever to save this file.
Photoshop file.
That's like 32-bit 4K with like, I don't know how many passes, but it's still saving. I should probably switch this to 16-bit.
Yeah, that's definitely playing a factor in it.
Or I just need to get a faster hard drive.
There you go.
Yeah, I tried to install a Thunderbolt card on this computer, but it didn't work.
I just need a faster PC in general. My whole PC is just a potato. I built it like 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised it does anything.
6 years, that's a good run.
Absolutely.
It's been pretty good, but I always get questions in my stream. They're like, what are you running? And I'm like, a 970.
Yeah.
Beat
You like,
that.
don't ask. Yeah.
One of the older i7s. I got it. We're getting lots done here. My renders take years, especially
really?
if I'm rendering fur or hair. Oh, we're here forever. Like, I think something that should take like 6 minutes takes about 6 hours.
I think it might be time to get in the computer. Close.
Beeple should just buy everybody in the industry a computer.
There you go.
Agreed.
Have you ever tried, so a question from the chat, have you ever tried 3D scanning on your phone? I've never done it.
No.
I have not either.
Is that even possible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen stuff online of people doing it.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, it's like I've got a regular DSLR that just works so easily for shooting pictures and doing photogrammetry. So the phone stuff seems pretty cool. I just assume it would be lower res.
Right.
I feel like these eyebrows are super far from. eyes.
Do you guys? There's a question about doing jam sessions like this at studios. Have you ever done like a just like a workout, not workout, like a hangout at work jam session? We did a couple when I worked at Cloud Imperium. It was like a thing that we had set up where it's like, maybe at lunch we'll do some hang out and just something, or lunch crunches were a thing. Enjoy doing those. You ever done this at work or things like this at work?
Not really.
No?
Sometimes. I think it just depends on the studio. I feel like Method had like life drawing classes and stuff like that. And I think Method in Vancouver, there was like an art like session where people would just come in on Fridays with beer and sit and some people would just like build those I don't even know what they're called, the Gundam things.
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah. So some people would build those and some people would just draw and for a bit, drink some beer, have a laugh. I don't think I ever went to those because I was only there for a few months, but I think I popped into one. But yeah,
I tried to do a couple of them. They're not uncommon. I've tried to do a couple wherever I've worked, set up almost like a community event kind of thing. Kind of come hang out.
And like I think the hard part is like people associate work with work and they don't associate work with fun. So it's hard to get people to show up sometimes depending on the mood of your company. So if you've got a fun crew where everything's all super duper fun and stuff, then you'll have more luck with getting that. Most people just want to go home and watch Netflix at the end of the day.
It's true. Nothing wrong with that.
Oop.
I have 30 minutes to do hair. This will be not great, but it'll be something.
I haven't even gotten to the hat or shirt yet. Here is too low.
Speed run the hair. Here we go.
Got this. I believe in you.
We're gonna do it. There's also now where I realize how messed up most of the other proportions will be, which is probably the more upsetting thing because it's such like a big proportional element. So it's like, oh no, a lot of this stuff is not in the right place.
Yeah. I feel like my entire model just needs to squish like this.
Let's master it.
I could be tweaking this forever though.
Our supportive father is here. He brought some finger sandwiches. And just a reminder that he loves us all so much and is proud of our hard work.
What?
Keep up, my children. Thank you. Thank you for those kind words and finger sandwiches.
Much needed snack.
Mm-hmm.
The stream runs through dinner for me, so I'm like,
yeah, there you go.
Sound good now.
You're like, actually, it sounds great.
Maybe I should save.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How hard is it to switch from working in animation to VFX and vice versa? Does it happen a lot? That's a good question. Animation to VFX doesn't happen a ton from what I know of. does happen. A lot of it is, be dependent on individual person.
I mean, people definitely switch from VFX to places that do feature animation. There's a lot of people like at Blizzard Cinematics who used to work in film. I think it depends on, same with Blur, because Blur is animation. So I think if you're talking about a place that's trying to do photoreal CG stuff, then film people make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Blur and Blizzard have so many. But going from ILM to Disney is going to be less common, because I think there's some people who just love the feature animation style and some who love the photoreal stuff. I think it's probably easier for modelers, riggers, animators. Texturing is very different.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a siren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone's always on fire here. I live right downtown, so there's always sirens all day, every day.
Oh yeah. I used to live downtown as well. I remember that life. Always being a fire truck or a police car. I'm realizing based on where this hair is falling that the ears have to be farther forward. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of hair strands in here.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to go back to my head sculpt and move that thing around because it was all the way back here. They're asking if they see that you're using sculptures for the dress, will you be remeshing it at some point?
I will. I want to block in where her arms are first. I'm going to attach them together. Then I'll remesh it. Because otherwise I'm just kind of winging where the sleeves are going to be, and then they're all going to clump together if I dynamesh this all together right now. These shoulders are too wide. I started doing this one, and I'm like, I kind of want to just do the hat now, but I don't want to be that person that just start one thing, can't commit, gotta do the next one. I think I kind of need to pose her first. Am I happy with her face?
Hmm?
I said, am I happy with her face?
Hmm.
I guess. Let's just pose the entire thing.
I guess that's the sign of approval. When hiring, does a company look at social media posts and not hire based on tweets, etc.? Yes.
Does a company look at social media posts? Companies, I'm sure, look at social media posts. I think it's pretty common for companies to Google people that they're interviewing, and anything that's going to pop up on the internet about you, they're probably going to look at. So I'd be careful what you have on the internet if you're applying for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Faux show. I mean, it gets back to the whole, like, you're hiring people you want to hang out with. So, you know, you might find something online. You're like, nope, don't want to hang out with that person.
Mm-hmm. We have 15 minutes left. Okay, here we go. I think I'm just gonna have like a block in of hair.
Yeah, that's what I've got to right now. I'll probably do the hair later. Why is this? Get on the head. No. Oof. Oof. I see how it is. So weird. It's unposing itself now.
That's fun. Is it on a layer?
No. Weird. No matter what I do, the entire process of making this character is just going to look weird until it doesn't.
It's one of those ones.
Successful and it just looks weird.
Yeah, it's one of those ones.
It's so weird.
I've definitely worked on a bunch of projects like that where you're like, it's almost sometimes where you doubt it, where you're like, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think this is going to work. And then eventually it clicks and it's like, oh, it worked. All right, cool. Snarls and Screeches from Twitch is asking, what are you using to make new hair strands and pose the hair? Is that curved tubes? I am using a brush from a Gnomon grad named Dylan Ekren. Just search hairbrush, ZBrush, Dylan Ekren, and he has a free one that you can get from Gumroad, and he has this video here that teaches you how to use it as well. So it's kind of a stylized hairbrush that has a couple options in there as far as like here, I'll just show you what we got. We got like a simple tube. Then there's some that will have like a lot of strands inside of the strand. Some that will have similar thicker strands, thick strands. So it's kind of a bunch of different stylized hair strands, basically. So what I'm doing is I did a very quick block out, and then now I'm tracing on top of the block out with the brush, basically. And then that's basically it. No, I'm tracing it, and then I'm erasing those little hairs. A big block out. It's really easy to use. I actually downloaded it minutes before the stream. So it's pretty cool.
Oof. Whatever happened to my scene? It's just wrecked.
It's continuing to plague you. What is it doing? Is it just like freaking out on you?
Let's just do this. And
Are we able to scroll the comments? Looks like scrolling is not working.
Really? Yeah.
I'm clicking where the comments are, and little mouse wheel doesn't seem to do anything.
It's working for me.
It is? Weird.
Mm-hmm.
You're using Chrome?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Are you using the chat that's like a pop out, or are you using it embedded in the whole studio?
The embedded one.
It's so weird that I can't scroll. What's your beverage of choice while working? Coffee.
Water, tea.
Tea, water.
Big iced tea fan. The studio that I was working at last, Cloud Imperium, would get Tejava teas, and we only got them for like a week and a half because we would just drink those big old bottles of them. Like each person would drink like 1 or 2 of those a day, and they were like, "Okay, no more. Like those are too expensive. You're just chugging these bottles now." It was nice. right, I'm going to do one more hair strand, and then I'm going to be done.
Shame I couldn't get it done. Oh well.
My hair looks like a hoodie from the side, though. So.
I mean, my hat looks pretty dope.
Yeah, look at that.
I'd wear that.
I've seen people that wear those. For sure.
Especially out in Joshua Tree, the straight brimmed hats.
Oh, yeah.
Went to see a show, RYX, the guy from The Acid, and I think like 50% of the people there were wearing those hats. It's like, what's happening?
Like, oh. Looks for me.
Ears of it all. All right, we have 2 minutes left. Final touches. Draw some lines in this. Pretend that it's hair.
Is Gnomon sponsored by ZBrush, so it's free with courses?
No, we are not. I think. Did Alex just freeze?
I think so.
Oh, yeah. I think Alex just froze. No, we are not sponsored by ZBrush shows. There is educational licenses typically, so you might be able to find them. I'm pretty sure that they do have educational licenses for the the class, but I'm not 100% sure. You could contact our admissions team, however, if you wanted to check that out. Oh, and Alex is gone. Just in time. I think his internet cut out at the perfect time for our stream to end because we're almost done here as well. Crystal, thank you so much for being on the stream. I really appreciate it. Fun to get to hang out and see your process and hear about the cool stuff you've been working on.
Yeah, sweet. It's been awesome. Thanks for bringing me on. It's fun.
Of course, yeah. I'm excited to. This has kind of inspired me. I kind of want to like, work on this more now. It's not a type of project I've done a lot of, especially recently. So finish this or maybe reuse it for something else, or take it and run with it. So it's been a fun stream.
Awesome.
Awesome. Let's see if we got any questions. Nope, just a bunch of thanks for doing the streams, Matthew. See you soon. I think you were one of the recent Gnomon grad or Gnomon starters, so excited to see you here. Yeah. All right. Well, it is officially 5 here. I don't remember what time it was in Montreal, but
8 p.m.
Yeah. What time?
8 p.m.
Oh, nighttime for sure. You got to go get some dinner. Those finger sandwiches are not going to cut it. Thanks a bunch, everyone. Super appreciate you being on here, Crystal. We're going to head out of here in just a minute. We're going to play our campus video on the way out. So thanks again. By the way, if you haven't checked the chat, we will be having a making of the Crudes event tomorrow. So go ahead and join us tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. For the making of the Crudes, a new age. We're going to have a couple of our Gnomon alums on who worked on that event, and so we're going to have a chance to show that off tomorrow. So it'll be on whatever streaming channel you're on now is where we will be streaming that. And as always, follow Crystal, follow Alex, follow me on Instagram. And of course, if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, like and subscribe to the page so you'll know when we're streaming next time. Crystal, thanks again. And everybody else, have a good day. We'll see you guys next time.